just a question. I see Rackham and Steve on the panel, and I just wanted to ask. And the question is: do you guys think Richard Hart would ever show his face until he's up on his Eats trade? Do you think he will ever do a live stream until he's actually up on that trade? Or you think there's a chance that he might, do a stream before everyone can clearly see that he's up on that trade?
I don't think it's too much about the ETH trade, but probably more about Pulsechain core coins as a whole. Obviously, like we know, Richard likes to come and brag online, and I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing. He's got a lot to brag about, but when it comes to live streaming, I could be wrong, but probably not until the core coins are back above sac rate. Then he might come back and stream, if he's ever going to come back and stream. It will probably be more so to do with the price of his ecosystem than the price of Ethereum, in my personal opinion.
So my opinion in regards to it, so I did think the same like Panos think, but then I kind of studied and I rewatched his Christmas video, and I kind of just thought to myself, if he has updated his worldview, because he stated as well, like, in regards to the whole outrage marketing, like he doesn't think it fully worked to the full degree that it should have, right? In my opinion, and even like in regards to, you see in his bio humble and things like that, I think personally we might see him come back sooner. But I feel like him coming at the bottom or him coming around, I don't know. I don't know what's holding him back right now. Maybe the Interpol case, maybe something else. But I know he's a helpful guy. He's he's always trying to benefit people in regards to everything that he's preached. So I wouldn't be surprised. So I do kind of think 50% that he's going to come back after the cores are higher, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he come back earlier in a sense of way as a founder, and said, guys, look, whatever he says, I don't know what he's going to say, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if he come back sooner. Trevor, go on.
Yeah, I'll chime in a little bit of that. So diverse, my personal opinion is that there's no telling. There's just no telling. There's no way to know when Richard's going to start streaming again. And for those who haven't watched, if you're listening and you haven't seen his streams, they're awesome, man. He's just a great marketer. And I personally, I can't wait till he comes back. But to answer your question, there's just really no telling. I mean, he could wait until the core, Hex, Pulse, and Pulsex are the chart's looking like a hockey stick. He could also pop not. But personally, I think that, going back the last 4 years since the last top of Hex, personally, there's been a lot of milestones, these little small milestones where we think, oh, he'll come back then, and he'll come back there, or he'll do this there, he'll do that here. And, I'll be honest with you, man, for me, I've wanted him, obviously you can go look at my tweets. I say it, bro, when are you going to stream? Just stream, but as of recent, I'm starting to realize I would much rather him come back personally when the time is right, rather than it would be a super bummer for him to right now, if he tweeted right now, I'm going live in 15 and everything's awesome, right? And we have a little bitty pump and then we go back to all-time lows. Just because you got to remember, diverse, the entire market is just, it's not Pulsechain, the entire market's in a really, really weird place right now. And it's starting to look a little bit bullish. We'll see. But, I mean, I think in my humble opinion, man, I think he's going to be really patient about it, and he's going to wait and be calculated about it. And I think he should, in my opinion, and I would much rather personally see him stream just when the time's right, man. I mean, what better feeling is there to kind of see this dude streaming that when you're up and everyone's up, all the participants are really, the enthusiasm's there, the everyone's encouraging one another. I mean, green candles change everybody's opinion. So, but then again, he's a calculated dude. He's a market maker. He knows what he's doing. So I'm just, but to answer your question, who knows, bro? Who knows? I have no clue.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, for me, I just feel like a lot of the things that we're kind of hoping for and wishing for is actually contingent on him actually coming back and streaming. So obviously, we want the price to go up.
I think
And
it's the
we've
wrong
had,
mentality to have, though, man. I think everyone needs to understand that if the reason for why you're waiting to be bullish, or the reason why your expectation is so high on this product slash software slash whatever kind of you want to call it, is because he's going to stream, then you're missing the whole point of all of this and what he's created, and the immense ability to believe in the code, like he's always stated. So like for me, even since some people know this, since before the launch of Pulsechain, I said I hope he just never shows up and he just keeps quiet, and then his product speaks for itself, and it has. It's just people are not putting light on the opportunity of what this product brings. They're just focusing on these typical ways in my opinion, the whole crypto industry really focuses on, which is hype, KOLs, et cetera, et cetera. But when in reality, who really looks at the code? Who really looks at the product? Who really looks at the software itself? Who has a community who really focuses on the actual DeFi? And I know it would be great, but it can't be the reason you're all waiting. It can't be the reason why we come together and say, yes, it's because when Richard streams, everything's gonna go. To me, that's
yeah,
just
yeah,
not
no, no, I mean,
you
I
can't convince
agree,
people who want to
but
invest that that's the reason, right? Because a lot of people are gonna get turned off by Richard, but that's just being rich. It's just people like you and people don't. But at the end of
yeah,
the day,
yeah,
the product is so good, and we need to shed a light on what the actual product is and how does it relate with the existing products that give a shitload of money, that have a shitload of
yeah,
money, and that do the volume which people want, because the volume is what really everyone's getting paid nowadays. If you really think about it,
yeah.
the
I mean,
ginormous
I
amount of
agree, I
individuals
agree,
are getting paid off
but
volume. They're getting paid off the opportunity of running software, running the code, not listening to any of these big individuals, right? You could, right? I'm not saying that it's not part of it, but it shouldn't be why we're so bullish as a community, right? And I know it's not your
yeah,
fault. I know it's not. I'm not saying
No,
it's your
totally.
fault.
yeah,
I'm
Famous.
just,
no, no, no.
To
And
the
it's just that we've had plenty of time. Yeah, like for the way I see it, and I've kind of heard all the narratives that is his own chain, and we shouldn't rely on Richard. But again, we've had plenty of time. We've had plenty of time for one of the projects from one of the communities to be the one that actually breaks out, and brings the volume in. I mean, we've had like 2 years plus. And it just seems to me like the money has just been going from one side of the chain to another. Like there's
yeah.
no new money coming in.
I think it's
So
bullish
so
though,
we
bro.
have
I
to,
personally
yeah,
think it's bullish that you're seeing that, right? Because at the end of the day, right, these people that are exiting now, we're always going to exit on a 50, 100, 200%. That was always their intention. Okay, so people exiting now to a certain degree at these low prices. Number one, the protocol Pulsex. It's working way harder right now at these lows, and it's burning way more Pulsex at these lows, right? I know it's not a lot, but I think every single penny counts to a certain degree. Number two, these guys are going, and it's bullish. Why? Because when we do move up, and when we do gradually go up again, because we will, 100% we will, and I'm confident of that, right? And when we do go up, we ain't gonna have these obstacles. There's always gonna be obstacles. Don't get it twisted. There's gonna be people that buy dips, that trade, and things like that. But it's not gonna be as hard because this crowd that thought that we was gonna do a 10,000x of the rip are kind of exited, right? Not all of them, but majority of them would have exited. So in my opinion, it's bullish, right? And sometimes you got to look at life, right? And you got to understand certain things. Sometimes things got to get ugly before they get pretty. Number one. Number two, when internet launched, only 2% of the world used the internet, right? Now look at how many people of the world are using the internet. That's my only
yeah,
points. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just delayed gratification. Sometimes it's you can't rush greatness. I know
yeah,
people that have become pop stars and rap stars, not personally, but I watched their come up, and they went 6 years straight rapping and doing music videos and not getting no views, to becoming literally in the UK. And you guys know Central C, but like people like me who've known Central C from literally young 17 years old, not known him, like actually known him, but watched him or seen his videos, they didn't become famous or become rich overnight. They grinded their ass off. They have countless of years of literally failed videos and no views and people laughing at them. And it's the same thing in regards to everything, in my opinion. If you believe in something, be a believer long term, right? Sorry, Trevor,
yeah,
I interrupted
No,
you, bro.
you're good, man. I was gonna say, man, there's you got to remind yourself, dude, we're in an echo chamber here. Like, no one knows about Pulsechain, bro. Like, nobody.
Yeah.
When I go out into public and my homies are like, dude, Trevor, aren't you aren't you into crypto, man? And this, that, and the other. Like, one of my neighbors not too long ago said that. I was walking my dog and aren't you like into crypto or something like that, or blah blah blah. This dude couldn't spell Pulsechain, and this dude's actually pretty knowledgeable, and he knows about all the chains out there and stuff. We're in our own little echo chamber, and so with that said, man, the only thing, I get it, diverse, man, trust me. Like, dude, I sacked a considerably good amount myself, for me, and it's been a rough road, but you got to remember we're in our own little echo chamber. And the one thing that
Yeah.
changes all of this, the one is not Richard Hart. It's not. You can't depend on Richard to change that chart. It's not Richard Hart. It's new money. New money. That's what makes any business.
Yeah.
That's what makes any.
You see, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree, Trevor. But
Yeah.
you also need to understand that the new Richard, that like the way I see it is, like a lot of communities, they've developed all this good
Hey,
apps and
man, I'm
a lot.
gonna cut. I'm purposely gonna cut you off, man. I'm gonna have a difference of opinion if you don't mind.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of people that have earned the right for their bull run, that have waited very freaking patiently, that we endured a lot of public criticism, that we put additional funds into the industry and specifically to this chain covertly. We've backed over 24 projects and invested over 20. So yeah, there are people that have earned a right to their bull run. I think that they have a right to demand it. So in my opinion, based on what they've gone through as a result of his corporate conduct, you can call it shock marketing, but in my opinion, and I know that I'm being recorded, he has a moral obligation to fix this network now because of what he caused. And I don't
Yeah.
care if it's recorded. I've made that known to him, and I've told that to him directly. I'm done.
Yeah, I agree. And this is what I'm saying. I feel like, a lot of the communities, they've done their best. They've built wonderful products and things like this. But the main thing that we're missing really is the marketing side of it. And there's no one that can do it better than Richard Hart, because, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is we're all
Yeah,
here
but
because of him.
also, bro, look, there's one thing that you guys got to understand, which I believe is one of the key points of marketing. Is not the actual marketing itself, is the timing of the marketing. Okay, in my personal opinion, now this is my opinion, right? I'm not shitting on anyone. Richard Hart has been in crypto before any of us. He's been mining Bitcoin. Like he said in tweets, he stated he was born in a dip. So my personal opinion is the man knows what he's doing, okay? And the man will do what is needed to do when the time is right. It's all about timing. He can come out right now and shield the out of Pulsechain. Is that going to get people in my opinion, at the timing that we're in the market where there's so much scares? The 90% of the market is bearish, not bullish. I don't think so, person. I think it's all about timing of the market, and I do believe he has a plan. And the reason I'm invested is because I believe Richard Hart is going to do something amazing in the future.
Yeah,
Right?
and
But
here's the deal. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to give anybody any insight for information or anything like that. KR, I'm not going to say I agree with you. I'm
no, you're entitled to your opinion, brother,
I
man.
no no
I
no
totally
no.
agree.
I'm not gonna give you an opinion. I'm gonna give you a fact. Because it's not open for anybody's opinion. I know what I've seen, and I know what I know is fixing to happen, and I know who I'm talking to, and I know the film crew that has direct access to other people that are doing what I'm describing. He's going to do something. It's going to happen.
Yeah, so
Bombs
we're
on
on the
it.
Good.
same page, Rackham. So we're on the same
Brilliant.
page then. I just feel like it's him. If he's gonna do something, he's 100% going to do it. 100%, I agree with you on that. I just feel like in regards to how the market is now, maybe, or like I don't know, bro. Maybe it's just cope inside of me, but like
Um,
I feel like he wouldn't just go do something and like just he would time it, in my opinion, personally, right? And he would time it with the market. He would time it with a lot of things. So I do agree with you. If he's gonna do something, the man is going to do something.
He's already
But we
doing
also have to.
things. He's already doing
Oh
things.
yeah,
And that's the cool thing, man, is like I actually agree with Rack. I think that absolutely, dude, there is this pressure cooker's brewing right now, man. I mean, he's upgraded the website, there's these little nuggets in there. So I totally agree, man. Like the dude's cooking. And so it's kind of crazy. It's like when you're in a relationship with a chick who she is giving you the affirmation, but you're just in a place where you can't receive it or understand that there's effort being put forth. It's like there is stuff happening right now, and I think you got to remember, man. He said publicly multiple times how much he cares about this community, and how much he cares about Hex, and how much So, dude, I diverse earlier. You mentioned something like him not being present and stuff like that, almost like a Satoshi or something like that. Like I don't I just don't see that happening, man. It's tribalism. Every community ever, every nation ever needs a leader, and he's aware of that, man. I think he's cooking.
I think Rackham's frustrated. I think
Hey,
Rackham's frustration is
Trevor, let me ask one question. Trevor, do you remember the trailer for The Highest of Stakes? There was a key moment in the trailer, and it's not really a big deal. It's nothing spectacular.
I think I know
but
what
it
you're
was
gonna
the
say,
key,
dude. I think I know.
okay. But there was a key moment when I realized that Richard loved the attention and he felt like a rock star. It's when he's getting out of the Bentley at night or something, and he's got the glitter jacket on. It's
Yep.
a side shot, and everybody's lined up down the sidewalk, and you can just see his projection. He's excited. He can feel the energy, and he's like, "This is my moment." It's just amazing to see
Bro,
that in the video.
totally. And here's the crazy thing. Here's a little. I've never actually said this. I've said this to my friends or whatever. It's not a big deal, but there is a moment in that. If you look in the documentary, I've showed it to multiple people, and watched it multiple times. There's a scene when they're at the castle and they're eating steak outside, and he's talking. And if you think about when that was, Patrick and all that, when that was filmed, and the time, I mean, dude, I didn't say it, he did, and it's on record, but he's like, I don't know, a lot of you are going to be wealthy in about a year and a half. There's a nugget there. There's a big nugget there. And so this market diverse, to your point earlier, this market's doing some weird stuff. I think even Richard thought that the launch of Pulsechain would probably go a little bit different than it has. There's been some adapting and stuff like that. So because if you look at the timing of that filming and when that statement was said, he's a very calculated individual. He knows what he's saying. And then you look at where we're at now. I think that there's a lot of stuff in that. But Rack, to what you just said, absolutely, man, absolutely. Like the dude, he says it. He's like, I want glory, bro.
Yeah. Okay. And it's funny you brought that secondary point up. I know that he's aware that certain other, I'm not going to say, like, I don't want to do this, man. I really don't want to be recorded this way, to be honest with you.
No, you can say
Yeah,
it.
come on, right? Go on, tell us, tell us.
Be calculated.
That's
Be
why I asked the
calculated.
question.
Be calculated.
It's like I was talking to my friends earlier today. When I spoke with Patrick and Grant from the Highest of Stakes, and this was way back, and RG3 will confirm this, and it's not a big deal because we all speculate about the future, correct? And I didn't know the exact timing, but I said if we ever do a second movie, because that's what they're so anyway, we were talking, and it was my prediction basically that in the future, right about where we're at, people were going to start jockeying for position. And I meant that geopolitically, and it was just a weird guess. And I thought that was going to be the direction of part 2 of the movie, where Richard Hart emerges with the Pulsechain network, and crypto would be more mainstream geopolitically, and different networks would start to jockey for position with, let's say, the White House. And they're doing that, and they're doing that.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So who's rubbing elbows behind the scenes with Trump and Eric? And well, they prefer Barron, but it's Barron if you want to use everybody else's, pronunciation. But those people are rubbing elbows. And if you think that Haas, just if you think the other networks and Justin Sun they're all trying to get into that position and jockeying for position, you've missed it, because they are. And I promise you, there's murmuring and backbiting going on, and they do not want Richard at that table. Make no mistake.
So the way I see it, right, in regards to, to Trevor's point, I agree personally, right? He didn't expect, maybe he didn't expect the way Pulsechain launched, but it's also a thing of look at the obstacles this ecosystem has had, right? And you have to look at the SEC case, number one. I don't think Richard Hart predicted that he was going to have an SEC case, before the launch or when the highest of stake was getting filmed. That's something that you can't predict directly, right? In regards to the Interpol, I don't think he knew that at the time that the Interpol he's going to be on the most wanted list, right? So obviously there has been obstacles, but in my
Yeah,
opinion,
KL. But
personally,
what I would say to that is, to be honest with you, like I know what you're saying, but I just feel like even with the FCC case and everything else, he still could have been streaming, because the FCC case was just it was a civil case, it wasn't a criminal case, and we've had even like other founders like the
no, but
CZ and
this is where
Tickets.
you're wrong, Diverse, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And if his lawyers advised him not to stream, if
No
his
doubt
lawyers
about it.
advised
Yeah, they
him
gagged
not to
him.
say
I
something,
promise you, they
bro.
gagged him.
Exactly. So you can't, like, this is what I mean. And you got to also understand, right? The whole, like, yes, we all thought Pulsechain is going no, sorry. I still think Pulsechain is going to be successful without a doubt, right? But it was always a thing of no expectations. When you have so many people that have sacrificed and expecting a 10,000x, you have to understand the market. 9 out of 10, when everyone thinks one thing about the market will always do the other thing. Everyone was super bullish, pro bullish, 10,000x incoming. That,
yeah,
in my opinion, the market chose to go the other way. And
yeah.
you have
No,
to
I think it
understand
was
I'm
these
deliberate.
obstacles, bro.
He had to shake
Can I
people out. A lot of people have been shaken out already,
can I
I think.
Crazy
yeah, can I
calls, go
make
on,
a
bro.
comment then when it's coming to the markets?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with KR. Everyone was expecting a 10,000x, but the way the market works is exactly what you just touched up on. It doesn't happen when everyone's expecting it. It happens when the least is expecting it. So the way it works, look, guys, I'm not trying to say here, I'm trying to take the credit, but I just want to clarify a few things from my opinion. The market is always the indicator to tell you what's going to potentially be coming through. So, for example, I don't know if you guys been following me on Twitter. Since last year, I've been telling people this is what the market's indicating. Look, me personally, just before I get to the point, I've been trading for 14 years. I currently work with 17 investment funds. My last award was from JP Morgan. But anyways, forget about that. So what I'm trying to say is this: what I've learned throughout my whole career is that the market always gives you the heads up. So if the market is telling you that we're going to see a potential downside, what you will see is that all the narratives will start coming out and actually working in favor of the market. So since last year, we've been saying incentives going to drop, Hex is going to drop, etc. Because based on what the markets was showing, then what happened was eventually you start seeing all the narratives aligning with each other. Now, what it comes back to is this: Richard Hart, I personally believe he knew that the SEC case was going to be announced. Why? Because if you're looking again onto the tweet, it's not about me right now. It's all about the market. This is my point. The market was saying, guys, look, Pulsechain's going to drop to X amount of price. 2 weeks later, I think it was 2 weeks, there was an announcement from the SEC case, and then the market actually dropped to exactly the price level and bounced back up. And then, but coming to Richard Hart's point, Richard Hart knew it. Why? Because he tweeted consistently around that period saying, guys, Pulsechain's decentralized. No one could stop. Pulsechain's decentralized. No one could stop it. He was already giving you guys the trust, the comfort as well, knowing that no one's going to stop it. He was saying it. But overall, what I want to say is this: KR, you're right. The market will rise up because the market is saying that we have a lot of supply zones to fill in. This is not me trying to give people hope. No, market could potentially drop one more time, and then from there, that's it. There's no more downside from there. So whatever you guys do, all these narratives you see, just understand all these bearish movements are all short term. The bullish movements will come through. All we have to do is be patient. But I could assure you one thing: there's nothing to be worried about. And I'm
And
sorry if I
that's
just
awesome. You just got to follow. Thank you.
Yeah.
no, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't want to come off topic a bit too much, and that's it. And Richard Hart,
Guys,
he's a
I can
well
vouch for
calculated
crazy
man. If
calls
you
as
look,
well, man. I like the way this guy thinks. We've been in convos in voice chats. I
And
wanted him to come up on the spaces.
what's
He does
funny is
great
this.
TA.
Yes,
thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate the
Steve was
kind words.
saying the
Thank
same
you.
thing earlier. Sorry, I think I'm lagging.
No, thank you, Rackham. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Steve. Just one last point is that Richard Hart is a calculated man, and when I say calculated, he does not like to be wrong. It's not because he has this ego, no, nothing like that. He's a man that likes to be right. He does his work, he does his studies, he does everything. And one thing is this: if you say he's wrong, he will have a reason to explain what he's explaining and why he's right. And in this case, I know Richard Hart; he will not ever disappoint his community. And this is my word to you guys: study him as a character, see his patterns. You actually realize that he actually has patterns that he keeps on repeating, which is not to be wrong. Look at his interviews. He doesn't like to be wrong. He always wants to be right. And he is right. It's not that he wants to be. He is always right because he does his homework.
Yeah,
So coming back
yeah,
to that,
that's pretty cool,
yeah, so
man.
guys,
I
yeah,
like that. I personally agree with everything you're saying. I'm lagging bad right now, and I still want to be involved in some of this. But honestly, I'll say this: my simple explanation is after all this, and after everything he's gone through with this network, and everybody murmuring about him and the bashing, I think it's personal now, and I think he's got a score to settle.
exactly, yeah.
Totally
And
agree.
he would do it. Yeah, but sorry, guys, if I spoke too much. I'll
No, you're
pause.
good,
Nah,
bro.
No,
dude.
you're
Hey,
good,
you
bro,
did
man. We
good, bro.
wanted you up here, crazy
You're
fools,
good, man.
bro.
You
I always knew it was going to take 2 years. I always knew it was going to take 2 years because the whole narrative of what the other chains brought out, like when everyone was comparing it to the early Binance, to the early, how all the other forks of Ethereum were not necessarily an identical fork, but anything that was developed on the EVM L1 wise, had different. It was a different market, but the habits were completely different also. So you had to like not necessarily like foreshadow, but you also had to like calculate. Okay, so if this is different and this is different and blah blah blah, then I always just say 2 years, and everyone used to think it was FUD, but I used to think that it's to test the market, and I know a lot of people always think like I'm a negative Nancy, but I'm gonna go ahead and say why I'm really bullish on this. One is because it's in exact, in my opinion, the identical to what Ethereum is in the essence of what it is, plus the little minor tweaks that make it, in my opinion, a bit better. But it's also the fact that with the stats that we had done, nothing was really coinciding with what already happened. If you look at the amount of individuals or communities in development and what was happening, market caps, TVL was never reflecting what the other side or our competition, let's say, or our colleagues in this EVM chain, like they've done, right? It wasn't matching because we were missing, that whole, the flubber of it, the whole poof, of my opinion, like the clouds of what really is the marketing and all that stuff. We didn't have that, but what we did have was the opportunity to test. I think that's the reason why he also had 4 test nets, because he wanted to test. And I think the first 2 years would have been a test, right? To not be there, to see how the chain reacted, to see how the community reacted, and to give everybody an opportunity to get in early. Now, I know I see Rackham's point of view, because when you're highly invested, plus you're highly devoted to certain things, and you don't get, and I used to say this also from the beginning, because I used to run spaces, when Richard was running technically spaces and tried it out. The support wasn't necessarily, in my opinion, the best calculated, right? Like I think like the way that he just wanted the glory, he wanted it, he wanted to take on the whole role, because it's like, well, no, I don't trust people to do. I felt like it was like, I don't trust people who to do anything. I'll just do it myself, because when you get something done, it's better when I do it myself. He's probably that type of individual and perfectionist, so that's why he was that. But I think by him looking and the system building the way it was and the way he designed it, it's not that I think he'll come back soon, but I think with the market and the way that now crypto is positioned, and the way that Racket said it, the geo aspect of it, how it's actually widespread, it's international. You hear headlines of it. You have different, like example, different news networks from different countries talking about it. You have Bloomberg every night showing the information of crypto numbers. It's just, it's crypto now is in a different category of seriousness. So
And
I think it was interesting to do that practice now, to get all this done, to see what was done,
so to that
and to
point,
then see,
famous.
let the future go.
So to that point, right? I remember this as well, because I literally remember this. Like I said, I joined last cycle, guys, when the COVID dip happened, and I remember in the actual bear market, so many influencers everywhere I was going, everyone was shitting on Solana and saying Solana is dead. Solana, because of Frank or whatever his name is, the guy that got FTX founder. Everyone was saying Solana is not the investment. And look what the market went opposite of what exactly everyone thought, and done completely opposite. And Solana now is literally not on Ethereum's level, nowhere near Ethereum's level, but it's up there. It's done crazy gains from the bottom, if you call it the bottom. bottom, number one. Number two, you've had meme coins on there flourishing. And it's been basically, in my opinion, currently this cycle, it has been the kind of the attention coin of this cycle in regards to what it's done. But this comes back to what I was saying, that the market will always tend to lean the other way, because everyone in the beginning was shitting on Solana, saying it's dog shit, it's crap, and it is. In my opinion, it still is, right? Like, I mean, look how many times the chain's been clogged up and you can't do transactions on there and stuff like that. But it still had the upside potential, and if you made them gains, at the end of the day, crypto is all about gains, in my opinion. And
Totally.
it's all about money, right? And if you chose to go against the market, you could have made a substantial amount of money, especially if you learned the chain, you had bots, things like this. Like like me and Famous were on Solana a couple months ago, killing it, absolutely killing it. I made 6 figures and then I ended up losing it all because I was retarded. But it is what it is, right? Like, I mean, that's just how degens are.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask Crazy calls. It sounded like he said something about we're going down one more time price wise, and just get a little clarification on that.
No, he said that we're looking bullish, but obviously we could go down again one more
It would
time.
be a wick. If we did go down, I think it'd be a wick.
Yeah, what is crazy if all right, you know what, I'm being greedy. Hey, Crazy, what would the play be in your opinion if it did wick down?
He's
He's
not
not
on
on
the
the
stage.
stage right now. I think he left.
No.
So I know his play. So we've spoken Telegram groups.
All right, okay,
He
all
did
right.
say we should. So he the way he defines the market is via ink, right? Which when he explained it, it made sense, and I respect his opinion on it. So he said the next level of support where you should start seeing some buys, like people interested, would be 89 cents ink. And worse comes to worse, and he calls this the lottery floor, meaning like if you put 10K into this floor, you would become a millionaire. And he believes that worst comes to worst, you might potentially see 50 cent ink. This is worst comes to worst. But
Good
he's not
God.
100. Like, he's saying this is a lottery. That's why he calls it the lottery
No,
floor, because it's like winning the lottery, right?
ink's not going to go below 75 cents.
No. But guys, look, I'm just explaining what he thinks in regards to the market. So he did say the second floor that we're gonna see, if it breaks down from the 114, is gonna be the 88.90 cents. And if it
Golly,
breaks down
dude.
again, if it breaks
I
down
made
again,
a public prediction of $8 to $12 for ink. I'm gonna get
oh no,
ridiculed. I'm gonna get
his
ridiculed,
prediction
dude.
on ink. No. His prediction on ink is actually more bullish than yours, Rackham. So he believes ink is gonna go to at least $66 this cycle.
Oh,
Yeah. So he thinks it's actually gonna go to $66. But these are floors that potentially could get filled. And then from this floor, like I said, the whole 50 cent is a lottery ticket floor, right? And it's one of them floors where if you did get it, he's basically just advising people to make sure you put your money in. Like, I'm personally not going into stables. The reason being is because we've been in this. I know for a fact that, okay, we might go lower, right? But I know for a fact in a couple months, I don't know how long it will take. I don't want to put a timing on it. We will be higher. And if I have to put more money in, so be it. I have some assets I can sell and put more money into Pulsechain. But he said if it ever came true, and it's a lottery, I would love to get him back up. I don't know, Panos, if you want to DM him maybe, or message him in a TG group to get him back up so he can
I'll message
explain it
him.
better. Because he can explain it better than what I can. But like, if you ever got that potential, he's saying that would be literally the bottom of the bottom, and the only way is up from there, right? And it would, and to a certain degree, I do agree in regards not to the 50 cent. I don't think we're gonna go lower than that. And even if we did go to 75 cent ink, my personal opinion, it would be a wick. And that next day, we've seen it countless times. Things wick and they bounce so quickly that people don't even notice the next day, right? We see it with the Interpol. In my opinion, personally, when the Interpol FUD come out, shit dumped hard, and I remember this. But if you caught anything on the wicks, you would have been in profit 2x 3-4 days later, right? And it also, the way I see things, right, as quick as we go down, just as quick we can go back up.
I personally don't think any of those targets are going to get filled, because the greater market to me, BTC Ethereum, is looking stronger than I thought it would at this point.
interesting.
Again, it could happen, but looking at the greater market, I think Bitcoin is going to push up next week.
I think we have to have a presence on Ethereum. This is essential, especially if you want to talk about like what are we trying to attract, right? I don't think we're trying to attract individuals on exchanges. We want to attract individuals that play on the blockchain, help our numbers.
I'm literally in Miami last night at a party that's a VC event, and there's literally other billionaires there, have no clue about Pulsechain, really interested in tokenization of certain things that they own, all kinds of crazy stuff that's going on. And that is the stuff that is going to push up this chain. If we build the things that are going to bring these people onto the chain, and they got to move 10, $100 million into the chain, whether it goes into Pulse or not, some of that it's going to happen. So I mean, I would encourage everyone to, be doing anything they can, whether it's talking about these things, writing articles, getting out to events.
Yeah. We're excited about coming up and doing the press releases, guys. We're actually pumped. We really want to start doing that aggressively. So Steve and I are legitimately going to do this.
But yeah, there's many use cases out there that people. I mean, again, I was shilling Pulse Chain last night. It's hard, but luckily we're at prices where hell, I don't even feel too bad anymore, because if they buy here, they're probably going to do pretty well in the near future. So a lot of people know about the common top blockchains, but I mean, not a single person knew what Pulse Chain was where I was at last night, and there was billions and billions of dollars in that room. I mean, that you're right. We need new money, and we also need the founder. Well, we don't need it, but it would be nice to have the founder, provide more support as well. And I do believe that time will come, to Crazy Call's point.
Now the targets. So as KR mentioned, so what we have is 2 more levels for incentive. So the way the market works is it creates its patterns, etc., whatever. But what we specifically look for is demand zones and supply zones, and these are purely based on data that's already been created. So what we saw is that incentive, out of all the core coins, incentive has the lowest demand zone, because Pulsex is not. I can't recall the numbers, but if Pulsex was to follow exactly what incentives doing, it will create all-time. Actually, no, I can't comment on that just yet. So let's use Pulsechain. If incentive hits the lows, Pulsechain is more than likely going to create new lows as well. But the targets for incentive is 48 cents and 77 cents. It currently has a fresh demand zones, and usually these fresh demand zones or supply zones tend to get revisited. So when we, let's say, for example, look at the currencies such as the FX pairs like euro, dollar, etc., there's been times where we look at the demand zones from 20 years ago, and what you see eventually the market comes for the test. It has to always come for a test, no matter how long it takes. It will come for a test. Now, what reason why I'm mentioning that is because I've been waiting for this area since last year, May. I tweeted it out. Everyone was calling me crazy. Of course, the name matches it. They say some will curse me and so on, but patience, of course, paid off. Why? Because the market's been eventually making its movements and making its way towards the zone. And then what happened is throughout the whole time, whole month, near enough 1 year, we've been waiting. What you see is that the narratives all just align with each other. It just adds the volatility we want. It keeps on adding it. So once it gets there, we have no more fresh zones. So I can't say, all right, this core coin has a demand zone lower, etc. So what this indicates is that this is the potential bottom. And once it hits that, of course, we've got targets from $10, $43, $12.69. We've got $33. We've got $54, $61. There is some zones above, but the chart with Dex Screener and Dex Tools were not matching. So the fact that they were not matching, I didn't want to gamble and say, all right, Dex Tools is matching, Dex Screener is not matching, so we're going to take the gamble and say, yes, it's matching. But then what you realize is that the ones that were matching just below could have been the top, for example. I'm just saying as an example. So the Lotto zone, what we call is the lowest demand zone available. And in this case, it's the 48 cents. The low is at 44, ends at 48. And when it hits the 48 cents, potentially we're looking to hit it up to $61. So every $10,000, we're potentially looking at $1.2 million target. And the reason why we're choosing these supply zones, again, it comes due to the fresh supply zones. So these zones, some people are thinking, okay, so how do you know it's going to hit it? But it's not the fact that I'm looking at human behavior. I'm looking at nothing. I don't care about the fundamentals out there. All I care about is the market. Why? Because it's the bots controlling the market. Some will disagree with me, no problem. But if you look at the statistics, 65% of the orders and slightly more are through algorithmic trading. And all of these have their own rules. And it's the human beings that's created. And these rules have been following since the market's been alive. Not alive, but I haven't checked that far. Sorry. So if you go back to the 2000s, you can see, yes, the market has been following the rules. It's just, you can see the bots are just taking over. I would love to show it, but I actually cannot. But if you look at the charts I've been sending into the groups or even tweeting, you will see that I've been saying levels. I don't want the credit here, by the way. I'm not saying this for credit. I'm just trying to translate what the market's showing. What you will see is that I've been the first person to say, guys, look, this is going to potentially go ahead, but just be patient. It will go. And then what you see, everything's been coming through. It's just hitting. It's all because of the fresh zones. So this is why we're potentially waiting for the 48 cents that could potentially mark the bottom. Of course, we have a demand zone at 77 cents. We have one at $1.96 and $1.13 for the incentive. Like, even if you look at the tweet, I could try to find it, but it's in the Twitter page. If you look at it, we even tweeted a demand zone on before the SEC case, the first announcement was actually announced. We said, guys, look, there's a demand zone here. And what happened? Hit the demand zone. You could check it. It's there. You can see the pictures there. Everything's there from before to where it was. Then it actually hit the demand zone and spiked up. So I looked at the chart. Like, if I'm excluding every human emotions, if I don't listen to anyone on Telegram, Twitter, etc., and if I was a bot thinking like a bot, that's why I always say follow the rules. Don't interfere with no emotions. Just if it ticks the box, just take it. Don't even think. So the algorithm will take the trade and say, look, this is where we're going to be allocating a position, and then if you look back at it, it's hit the target. So at that point, there's a lot of people that was in one of the groups. I said, guys, look, this is bullish, but the market's going to potentially come back down. Again, people calling me crazy again, etc. What happened? The market came back down. And even with the hex positions, it's the 4-1. It's the fact that it's proven to you guys as well. Some of you guys probably haven't seen my work, but it may sound gibberish. But if you look at the charts, let the charts do the talking, you'll realize these fresh zones always come for it. It will come for the visit. Doesn't matter what it is. So what I'm trying to say is that's why I'm not stressing about the market dropping, because this is literally going to be the point where we're going to find the bottom. The sooner it comes, the sooner we could rise up. Of course, there's a few other demand zones, but these demand zones might not be as strong as the one at the bottom. Even if you do get in, it's like, let's say you've got 100 grand investment and it hits the 77 and the 48 and you're still waiting. I wouldn't, because it hit the 77, with that 100K, I'll probably put in, let's say, just an example, 20, 30 grand. I'll still sit back, even if it hits $2, $3, I'll still sit back with that specific amount, of course, until it hits a certain supply zone. Why? Because if it doesn't break that supply zone, market's coming back all the way back down again, no matter what happens. We've done this multiple times. What I mentioned to KR Panos on the call previously is that even before the war escalated with Israel and Palestine, we said gold's going to drop to a specific price. Guys, buy, this is the target. People calling me crazy again. I said, guys, something has to kick off. And then what happened? Boom, market just shot up. Since then, I said to the guys as well, don't watch the news. Our statistics actually shot up. We ran a 68 to 72% our success rate. Risk to reward ratio was sitting at 1.4 every trade, minimum 1.4. But then when we said, guys, no more fundamentals other than economic data that actually moves the market, like GDP figures, etc., we said, guys, let's try it. And then what happened? Our success rate shot up to 82, 83-ish, which of course trying to improve on it. We're not going to be perfect. But what I'm trying to say to you guys is the market always tells you what's going to happen. And the narratives always align, even with the traditional stock market. We've been tested many times before with, earning reports. They'll give us stocks. We don't even know the earning reports will come because we don't watch fundamentals. And of course, we have a team that watches it, but I don't really watch it, me personally. And I say, look, guys, this is a good time to buy. Same thing happened. Next day, earning reports came, shot up. The guy comes to me, hey, what are you doing? Inside trading? No, I didn't even know. Whatever. I explained it to him. Of course, we won the business. But what I'm saying is the market always tells you. And what we're seeing here is that there is a big potential on the upside. Like EHEX, I know this is a crazy call, but 18 cents is available. You see on a lower, one of the lower time frames, you see that there's fresh demand zone, supply zone sitting there. So I could literally buy it, revisit whenever. I'll put a target, let's say a pending order, not that I cannot put a pending order and say sell at this price. I wouldn't wait for 18, probably wait for 17, because a lot of people will probably start cashing out. Not people, sorry, the bots, because it's the bots controlling the market. Now, Richard Hart, I don't know how he did what he did, but these bots are trading, and these bots are actually doing what they're supposed to do. And again, it's not the human behaviors. Human behaviors are only catching the smaller, unless if you're going crazy, of course, like 200-300 grand, 400 grand, you're moving, no problem. But I'm pretty sure these big whales they know what they're doing as well. But overall, guys, what I can say is don't stress, please. There is potential one more leg down to the downside, 77.48 cents, and that's it. Then just keep back and relax, but don't stress. That's all I like I say, and I'm not saying this for the credit. I'm just trying to translate what the market's showing you.
So
Crazy.
I wanted to ask you.
Sorry, I got a question about Hex because you said eHex.
Yeah.
I know your target is 18 cents
Yeah.
for eHex. How do you see pHex correlating, or is there any correlation with eHex, or do you think pHex is totally separate?
No. So I think they're all joined. The reason why. So to answer your question about pHex, what I would do is, Richard Hardy mentioned this once that I can't remember word to word, but he did hint that pHex will be higher than eHex. He did hint this. But what it is if we use the current ratios as an example, I'm just using today's ratio between the two. If you do 18 cents times the current ratio between pHex and eHex, I think that's what the price you will get potential as an average of where pHex could potentially go to. Of course, the ratio may increase or decrease, but this is the current average of where it is sitting. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
And the reason,
makes total sense, bro.
yeah, and the reason why they correlate is because what we've seen. I know people do have different speculation on ratio trading, but what we've seen is that when one of them has a demand zone, let's say, and not let's say incentive has it, but Hex doesn't, Pulsex and Pulsechain doesn't have it. What you actually see, incentive hits the demand zone and everything starts rising. So what they do is they complement each other. One might not have nothing. You might see zero patterns, but one of them does. And because that's going up, everything starts following. So they're bouncing off each other. Of course, there's other speculations, but yes, they do work with each other and they help each other a lot.
So my question to you, Crazy Calls, right,
Yeah.
is this: I want you to explain why you go off Ink and not PLS or Pulsex or Hex or any of these other core coins. Why would you directly only go off Ink?
Sure. So Ink is right now, the first one is the buys because of Ink's got the lowest data compared to if I was to get the measurement and lower in percentage wise to the lowest demand zone, it would take off Pulsex. I can't comment on Pulsex just yet. Sorry, I have to double check this. But let's say Pulsechain and Hex, if I go it down, it might say all-time lows, for example. I'm just giving it as an example. But the reason why incentive is because incentive is the only one with the lowest demand zone. Now, the reason for the target is the pattern it created from the peak to where it's dropped. If you look at the amount of X's it does from, let's say, current price up to the $61, that's your medium-term target. And then if you look at eHex from current price up to 18 cents, that's your potential next target. Let's say you got eHex, the incentives your target to. Let's just use that as an example. Let's say target 2 is so once incentive hits, let's say $61, you potentially cash out a percentage. Then what happens is you've got the third target. So when eHex hits 18 cents, you cash out your third target. Then the fourth and fifth target is, I don't have no more data on eHex, so I can't say it's going to potentially go higher or lower. But then what you do is you cash out your main targets, and then we call that the cake. So when it hits third target, what we always do, if we use 5 targets as an example, is that the third target is that cake, which we bake the cake, and the fourth and fifth target is the cherry on top of the cake. So what we do is we leave percentages to run, and then if we were to use this as an example, and let's say we caught 100x or 200x, let's say just using that example, what we see in the back of our mind is we studied Richard Hart as a character, his patterns, and he likes to be right. So what we say is we're leaving a percentage, whether it's 5-10% for 10,000, 14,000x, we don't care how long it takes, we're just going to leave that percentage. Then the fourth target will be more of a rounded number because we're not going to have more data unless if it creates a W pattern, which you guys seen I've sent to the group as well, and where the market hits the zones. You can see where Bitcoin hit the 423 extension. Bearing in mind, the W is not our main strategy. We just use it as an example where the market could potentially go because supply and demand don't exist within these levels. And then if we see a W, then I can say at that point, okay, look, guys, it's going to potentially even go higher. But for now, this is what it's indicating. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. And if I missed anything else, please do let me know.
So do you think, so in this regard, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I personally hope we don't go that low. That's just me. I don't know about anyone else. If we do go like that low, like you said, I do believe that, the only way is up. Because the reason why I'll say this, right? TA on Pulsechain is very difficult to do because, like right now, for example, a whale can come in with 100k and completely change the market. Do you think this has an impact in regards to the way you think?
I agree and disagree at the same time. The reason why, of course, the liquidity is low, someone could come push it up. If it's a random person, 100%, I agree. But the way we've seen it is, look, again, I'm not saying this to try to take credit here. The reason why I also disagree at one point is the fact that the charts have proven that no matter what happens, the market's been showing what's going to happen. So, like the PWBTC, the WBTC, I have to use that as an example. Sorry. If you look at it from a very high price, I think it was around $1,000. I was telling people this is going to drop to $149 at one
Yeah,
point, and that,
Steve was there as well because he went up to 2K, right? And
yeah.
Steve was said, look, he thinks he's going to 200 if not lower.
See, there you go.
Yeah, I agree with you in that regard, right? When the
Yeah,
coin does a crazy amount of
but
X's, it's
yeah.
gonna go back down.
Yeah, but that's what it is. Is the patterns. The market will always indicate. Well, look, there's trend lines. There's so many rules. Look, what we've done for me personally is the 6 years I put studying the market, as I mentioned to you guys before. And these rules, there's thousands of rules on the market. But what I did is 6 years is 5 years watching the market because I was a broker at one point, then trader and so on. But then when I looked at the markets, I saw rules, which it's like reverse engineering it. But 5 years just sitting there. Everything you look at, every software, whatever happens, there's always rules. And algorithms always have rules that's set by human beings, whether they're smart systems, whether they're not, but they follow specific rules. And of course, for 5 years, it took me to find 15 rules. It took me 1 year to adjust it, so 6 years to complete it. But no matter what happens, the market will potentially indicate what's going to happen. Like incentive, if it breaks $2.72, I can confidently say, yes, we're in the bullish territory. But for the time being, all I can say is if I was to come as a new investor, of course, you put a percentage in that, get your foot in the door. But then I'll say, okay, guys, look, there's a demand zone coming up. I posted it as just today. Incentive around $1.08, I think, or something like that. And to $1.02, the low doesn't
Did he
respect
just
that
cut
demand
out?
zone. Sorry,
You
so
just cut
there is a
out, bro.
demand. Sorry, so if there's a demand zone which is approaching at $1.08 and $1.02, I know I posted it today, but we've been waiting for this demand zone for a good 3 weeks. Then what it is the fact that it's approaching it. Now, if it breaks that, then I could say, guys, now we're coming to our demand zones, what we've been waiting for since last year. But the one that's coming up is 89 cents below that because there is another one on a very lower time frame. Then there's another 77 cents. Then the main one we really want to get in is at 48 cents around that area. But the algorithms are winning right now. And I know, Richard, I can confidently say that there's a lot of algorithms trading on Richard Hart's system. Confidently, like what the market's been showing me. I don't need to go on people's wallets. I don't need to do investigation, nothing. Because the market's literally showing you it's respecting the same rules that it respects on the traditional foreign exchange commodity stocks. It's the same rules. And whatever he's done, I don't know how he's done. Honestly, I can't comment and say this is the specific box he's used. But whatever he's created, this guy's a genius. Because the fact that he could make the same rules follow from there to there, this guy's a genius. I don't know how he did it, but he is.